Lardy McHardy, Lardy McHardy. The walk home from school was always filled with their taunting faces. They danced around me singing that awful name. I'd get home, my clothes torn from the pulling and the groping. I'd fix on my good Sammy smile. Good Sammy doesn't cry or get upset. Mum loves good Sammy most of all, and when I'm good she gives me a treat. The ice cream soothes my embarrassment about my size. Its coolness calms the red blush in my cheeks. Bad Sammy plots in my head to get revenge one day. Bad Sammy dreams of sitting on those girls until their faces turned blue. At night, I'd dream of boys and men who might change my name. Simon Le Bon was out, as he only married skinny models, but maybe George Michael would want me. It would be years before I'd realise why you never saw him with a stick insect draped round his arm. Bad Sammy reminded me that puppy fat made me a dog. To shut her up at the school discos, I'd hide in the corners with crisps and Coke. Bad Sammy can't talk when her mouth is full. University came, and I carried on growing. Out, not up. I made new friends. The ones who covered their faces with long fringes to hide petrified shyness. The ones who wore glasses at school. The ginger ones. We'd go out to the Union, and I was always Fat Sam, the good Samaritan who made people smile. I'd win the drinking contests and play my part as witty bait when we go out on the pool. The young men of the university would laugh at my jokes and say, "You've got a pretty face," to my face. "For a fat bird," they said to my wide behind as they reached round my girth to ask one of my thin friends for her phone number. Late at night in the halls, I'd wrap these hurts in bandages made from cheese sauce smothered lasagna with extra chips. 20 stone at graduation. Bad Sammy told me I looked like a giant dustbin in my robe. I grew on to a sensible job in a bank. The work experience girl would fetch French fancies in the afternoon. I'd refuse, and then secretly eat the minstrels and Rolos hidden in my desk drawer. Men took me for drinks and spent the night probing me for advice on how to get Tracy from accounts to take an interest in them. Bad Sammy told me they were only out for one thing anyway. I'd had a lucky escape. My flat had a double bed for one. At 22 stone, there wasn't room for anyone else. My fridge was my bedtime companion, my entertainer, my lover. Madeira cake, cut into thin slices, melted marvellously in my mouth. The sweet sensuality on my tongue of the cherry not yet broken. My clothes continued to shrink in the wash. I joined Weight Watchers and did indeed watch, in delight, as my weight tumbled down to 21 stone 3, only to refill my broken heart with lashings of cream and giant packets of crisps. The dismay as I watched it climb back up the scales to 23 stone 4. At this point, I could no longer fit into pretty shoes. At 30, my friends from the bank held a party. They cheered at me to get up on the dance floor with them. I broke into a sweat as my body wobbled to the music. Good Sammy laughed and threw back her head. Bad Sammy reminded her not to bend back too far. You might fall over and not get back up again. My bosom heaved. I was getting out of breath, just shaking my voluptuous behind. I tried to perch on the bar stool. I wouldn't risk the chairs with arms for fear I might not get back out. I missed my cousin's wedding in the States, as I was unable to afford the price of 2 seats return. One Monday morning, I struggled to put on my bank uniform of blouse and skirt, specially made by a firm in Derbyshire, the extra cost deducted from my paycheck. My tights and over-wide shoes strained at the seams. At lunchtime that day, I felt quite faint. I stood up to shake the hand of a new customer and felt the world turn into a vision of pins and needles before I was blinded by a hot white flash. I came round, staring up at the ceiling. The fluorescent light was hot on my face. People gazed down at me and told me not to worry, the ambulance was coming. The paramedics were very kind. Their green uniforms blurred in and out, and I heard them huff and puff, pulling at my shoulders and asking me gently if I thought I could sit up. I thought, no, I don't think I can. Bad Sammy smiled, and Good Sammy worried. I heard them on their walkie-talkies asking for the fire brigade. I heard Mr. Burton, the manager, tell Janie the clerk to get these people out and shut the doors. She said there was a crowd on the street peering in through the windows and asked if she should call the police. Now I understood, and silently wished my too heavy body could just sink somehow into the rough blue carpet. My blouse had slipped up during the fall, and I felt the coldness of the air conditioning against the huge whiteness of my trunk. But my face still felt blazing. Bad Sammy wanted ice cream, or she was going to start shouting obscenities. The fire brigade arrived, and with the same precision they used to turn over smashed-up Volvos, they bundled me onto a large tarpaulin. It took 6 of them to carry me on this makeshift stretcher out to the ambulance. The crowd outside fell silent as we made our public appearance. I was blinded once more by the flash of a camera, and Bad Sammy told me that the paparazzi had arrived. I should smile. Good Sammy didn't want to smile. I whisked to hospital in a blaze of blue lights and sirens, lying prostrate on the ambulance floor. There are no double beds in an ambulance. That was 6 years ago. I weighed 25 stone and 2 pounds. At the hospital they gave me 2 options: lose the weight or not reach 35. They operated and gave me a gastric band. My stomach began to shrink like an overwashed t-shirt. A couple of teaspoons of food left me feeling stuffed, and so my body began to eat itself. It took what it could from my vast reserves. The fat started melting away. Bad Sammy had tantrums and cried out loud, her hunger pangs no longer soothed by the huge portions of pasta and double helpings of pudding. Good Sammy said, "Well done. Boys will like you now." Bad Sammy raged, "There's more to life than boys." In 6 years I've lost 12 stone. This has made Good Sammy extraordinarily happy. Good Sammy smiles. People like you more when you smile. They don't want you to cry or complain. I met a man who tells me he loves me. There is space now for me to share my bed. Sometimes he goes away for days at a time. Once I found a text message from a woman on his phone, but he tells me I shouldn't make a fuss. Good Sammy tells me I should be grateful he's around. I've lost almost half my previous body weight. Like a whole other person just disappeared. But sometimes I wonder. That was Disappearing Act, written by Jenny Love and narrated by Lucy Aitken.